Because that's owning a business, but we don't necessarily see it that way. But owning it and working in it, but not running it are all different parts of this. Yeah.
I'm not so sure that enough of us understand really what the nuances are between the things, between running, starting, and owning a business.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to do all three, but you can add so much value to a business in so many different ways.
Correct.
Whether you started it, you own it, or you're running it.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Stay Sharp, episode 33. I'm Jordan Ray, and joining me is my other half, Rashad Tyler.
Hey, Jordan Ray.
We are the duo behind Rare Label, which powers this podcast and also supports brands and businesses from strategy to implementation.
Forever.
You're here to go to school on or observe our experiences. And if you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And definitely feel free to hit us up for support on your projects, whatever you are working on. Our contact information is in the description. We've been watching Abbott Elementary.
We are big fans.
Big fans of Abbott since day one. If you are not tapped in with Abbott yet, please get yourself together. And it's a very easy, light, and worthwhile watch.
It comes with network television, but it is very family friendly.
Yeah. Find a way to tune in. So we just was watching that last night. I think we were catching up on the second
We're the Hulu
episode.
people. Like we watch the next day. We don't watch on proper television, but
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Who does?
Yeah. Like who, right? Like what's a show
My
right
mom and
now?
them probably right on, 8 o'clock,
I miss that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had like a structure to certain things and I miss parts about it.
I wasn't judging you. Like be in your energy for, TGIF.
I know, go ahead, judge. What?
No judgment at all. I was just saying like way better, but respectfully.
It is way better the way that we're able to watch TV and movies and different things now. It is certainly way better. I'm
but
just
you're
like,
saying you got some nostalgia
I kind of
about
miss,
that.
Gathering with the family at a certain time and, every Sunday it's like this and you had something to look forward to. Like right now we can just get that instant look forward to-ness at any time that we want just about because we can always cut something on that we want to watch or binge or get into. That wasn't always the case. It was like, no, you had to wait to watch your favorite show until that bitch came on.
No, I'm with it. I mean, you're really explaining this very obvious thing in great detail. And I respect it, but, it was trash. DVR was trash. Like, these are things that my mom was a VCR lady who used to videotape the stories every day. Like, it was bad, man.
To watch it later.
Yeah.
She had a lot of VCRs.
Because she worked at the time that Victor Newman and that crew came on television. So she had to record it and then she watch it, later on.
Yeah, I get it.
Mess, but all good. No, moving on.
But back to the topic, right? Okay. Starting, running, and owning a business and the differences between, I'm not so sure that enough of us understand really what the nuances are between the things. But it's important to understand what's going on there, right?
Most times people don't really pay attention to the fact that most big organizations are not founder led. You think that a person owns something as opposed to an organization owning something, meaning that there is somebody that founded that company or that organization who may have the largest ownership of shares, but they may have only been the idea person. They may have farmed out most of the roles. For example, Steve Ballmer is like, I want to say he was like the 30th employee at Microsoft. That's very far away from the founder. Or the pair of founders, Bill Gates, and I forget what the other guy's name. But either way it goes, 30th guy, he made the third most, and he bought the Clippers for $2 billion. So he didn't start it. He ran the company for a little while, but it's the best example of somebody coming into an organization that already had a great founding idea. They added value to make it a much bigger thing. Everybody benefited, including him. And you eat in a very comparable way to the people that founded.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that and learning more about that as I am growing into, what's next and what's next.
Yeah.
Is ownership without having to run a business. Because I currently, I own and I run a small business with you, right? But what is it like to maybe acquire another small business or, stocks also, there's a lot of different ways to go about that.
Because that's owning a business, but we don't necessarily see it that way. But owning it and working in it, but not running it are all different parts of this.
Yeah. So I can see the day where possibly there's, I have ownership in something, but it's not, me running it. It's someone else who is qualified to do that thing, who is best fit for that. Right. And, I'm operating in a different role. So I want to definitely figure out what that looks like.
I was listening to somebody talk about moving themselves from the owner, operator, founder seat and what it takes to replace themselves. And the mistake is oftentimes they are continually frustrated that they can't find a person that can replace them because it may take 30 people to replace them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And that's fine. You just need to write 30 SOPs.
Yeah. 30 job descriptions.
That's right. So that you eventually write yourself out of the job. And it's a real, because of the way that we operate, it's I can see that path. When we start to frame it in that way.
So you've obviously started, owned several different companies throughout the years. How do you know what role that you should be sitting in or want to sit in? What's that decision look like?
So in my experience and the ones that I both lived and observed or had close proximity to, it's really important for every organization to have the key ingredients to give itself a competitive advantage when it's first starting. So if you're kicking in the door in any particular space, let's use software, for example. If you're building a software company, you really would be at a disadvantage if you didn't have one of the founders as a programmer. I mean, Facebook benefited because a guy could write code. Microsoft because he could write code, right? And I like using those companies because that one particular person can be of so much value because they can cover so much ground in building the first version or the version 1 of an operating model so people can understand and use the product and everybody can win big because software, of course, scales infinitely when it's successful. But for me specifically, I'm always just bringing to the table that I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer. I can do this, and this right here. And all of the things that I've been involved in needed marketing in order to win. That was the only thing that was of value. And I've only built lifestyle companies. I've invested in other companies of different types, but I've only fundamentally built lifestyle companies at this point, which means that they're dependent on one person or a single idea. And it's really not scalable, right? Whether that be a label that does not necessarily have multiple artists or an agency that doesn't have products. It's really supporting other businesses or an event company that's producing events. You really can't scale those things. And thereby they don't have a lot of resale or enterprise value because they're not set up in that way. But I'm only in the door because I can eat up a lot of real estate between what we need from print advertising and marketing strategy and digital advertising and website building. I can cover all of that ground in a single person. And you need that type of advantage when you're going to have success in all of those particular spaces.
So it's giving, in order to be a founder and start a business, you need to be an executor.
Yes.
So you technically actually need to know how to build, make, design, create whatever it is that you're doing, from software
it's
to...
of the most advantage because it's the most cost-effective way to get the business going.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could also be a founder with a lot of money and go, okay, I want to attack this place. I'm going to go hire this person, this person, this person. You can pay them out of pocket, or you can pay them with equity because maybe you got the big idea.
Yeah.
And you may be the person who's a salesperson, but you can get everybody else invested.
Well, that's the other way to go about it.
Yeah.
So there's, upon starting a business, you have an idea that you want to bring to life.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who maybe hasn't, gotten their stuff off yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's two ways to go about it. Like, number one is you do it yourself because you know how to make the thing, whatever that thing is. Or yes, like you need a lot of funding because you understand the idea so well that you can also pay, because of the funding, someone else to actually do the execution.
Right.
But again,
but you can pay a number of ways, right? You can pay in cash. Mm-hmm. Or you can pay a combination of cash and equity, which would be stock.
Or just equity.
Yeah. Or just equity.
Pretty darn good idea for that.
Right. Yeah. That needs to translate clearly to somebody in terms of what the value is.
What I'm also gathering, or want to make sure that we're talking on, is that you don't always have to be a founder.
Right.
You don't always have to. And matter of fact, how can we check down to understand how should I go about bringing value to an organization or a company? Is it only from the founder level? No. What about, playing the ownership, or playing into ownership, playing into being a high level operator?
That's right. So Ballmer, back to Ballmer, for example, he was a sales and marketing guy who came in again as the 30th player. So they're already up, operating, moving. But he has the ability to understand sales at a really high level. And they probably were at a spot where they needed somebody to lead growth. And because he understood that from his other experiences, he brought that into the organization and helped them expand their reach, their product, sales, pipeline, marketing, positioning globally and otherwise, right? He's able to do that very different thing, which has very little to do with the understanding of programming and product choice, because you don't necessarily have to be a product person or a big picture person in order to add value. Sales is always on the table, no matter what organization we're talking about or what business we're talking about. If you can sell something and understand how to build sales systems and understand what opportunities exist for folks and how to get more of this product moving, there's always a seat at the table. And if you can do it in a way where it's proven prior, there's no telling what type of deal you can cut.
Yeah, I want to pause and make sure that doesn't go over anybody's head. You are just saying the door is wide open many times at a lot of different firms or organizations if 100%. You know how to sell.
If you know how to sell, you can go to any existing business and they will always have a conversation with you if you can tell them, or show them rather, how you can give them more business. Making a bigger pie is the best way to be involved in any business. Yes. The agent of a bigger pie,
I happen to have a background in sales at the retail, or in the retail space. And that has forever changed the way I look at how to have certain conversations with people, whether that's conversations with people who are leading me or who I'm reporting to, how to have conversations across the table to clients or people who are wanting to work with us, right? And then also how to position people who might work with us on how to better their sales strategies, right? Their sales models. And so I know that both of us have somewhat of a background in that. And even going back to, this is so kind of off the riff, but going back to when I was young and raising money for uniforms or for school fundraisers and things like that, and literally going door to door and selling candles,
right,
or raffle tickets for something or whatever the thing was. Just learning how to kind of talk to people and quickly tell them what the value is in something so that they'll give you their money.
Right.
You know, I'm like, if you can convince someone to give you money because you can return it and, you know, return it into something that is valuable to them, like key skill. Also, in addition to that, I think that creatives, business owners, or you know, whatever role you're playing in the organization, it's key to also establish, you know, that you're a culture fit.
Yeah.
And that also comes from the higher ups too, right? Just establishing that culture and what that is. But also those in between moments, you know, the value that you bring is not always just what you do sitting at the desk or the boxes that you check,
right? But
it's really making connections for the company as well, which can seem salesy, but it doesn't have to be about sales. It might just be connecting, hey, so-and-so agency, or hey, you know, whatever salon or something, that like, we're missing this opportunity over here. Are we aware of that? Like how, you know, and being able to fill that gap, because whoever you're direct reporting to, like, they don't see it all. They can't, they can't, it's not possible.
Right. I think there's like a tremendous value in like the person who can be on the front line of sales, and then people who can write like large sales scripts, and people who can also like write large sales programs. Like it's just so many levels to like what it takes to be a fantastic salesperson, but there's nothing like having that hand-to-hand combat experience that teaches you how to ignore and move through the no. Because most people are just going to like, oh, I gave it my best, and you know, they didn't want it and they quit. And like the ability to push through is the one.
All right, next.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. I think the most successful salespeople that I've encountered are always counting their number of no's. They're trying to get 20 no's. It's like, that sounds, but yeah, they're tough like that.
They want the no. Like the quicker I can get through the no's, I'm going to get my yes.
Yeah.
So the things that I think can be taken away from this conversation is, you know, adding value to any organization, whether you're at the founder level, you're playing an ownership, you know, or partnership role, you're running the company as an operator. Number one is execute. Being able to execute whatever it is that you are going to actually do, especially if you're not going to rely on money, you're bootstrapping. That's the only way, the most cost efficient way to do it. You mentioned sales, being able to sell, you know, and or market, but let's call it sales. I think positioning yourself as a culture fit is something that we talked about as well. Think about that for a minute. Like, position yourself as a culture fit to work in the environment that you really want to work in. Like, what does that look like? It's a lot of manifesting, however you want to call, whatever you want to call that.
100%.
But last but not least would be to make the connections and do the in-between work. Like, don't be afraid to step in the gaps.
That's right.
Look for those gaps.
There, in every industry, in every business, there are always connectors and like the it's not quite non-skilled labor, but non-specific industry labor. You look at, I don't know, like how many people in the music industry, for example, have no musical ability, right? They don't even make music decisions. It's only like, you know, 10% of the people, 5% of the people are making music related decisions. It's artists, A&R, maybe sometimes like management is a part of those conversations, but that's fundamentally it. Everybody else is working to make that product as big and as successful as possible. If we're talking about basketball, like the number of people that work for across the street, the New Orleans Pelicans organization, I would imagine only a fraction of them have ever played basketball, yet alone the number of them that are on the payroll that actually play for the team. Right? I think there are more coaches, or as many coaches as there are players on their roster. There's still a sales team. There's still like an executive team. There's still like, you know, the ushers in the arena. Right? But I do want to add one other layer, which I think we kind of covered, but it's important to make sure we double down on. You can always just be an investor, which we're an investor in companies. I think we mentioned that too, where we are passing along our money for a founder or a group or an organization that's proven that they have something, or at least proven to us because we're angel investing, but showing us that they have figured out or they have found that they are bringing a solution to a particular problem that we think is a good problem to solve. And they're looking for some funding to help move this organization, this thing that they've built along. And it's going to cost some money and thereby take some time before they can return that money and we get to participate on the upside. So that's also another way that people can do it. Like, you don't always have to know. And as a last thing, and I know I'm kind of meandering a bit, but you can also be, when you're investing, when you're an angel investor, when you look at like what venture capitalists do, they're not only looking to bring their money, they're looking to bring, to your point, their connections and their resources. So it's not just like, here's a check, return my money. It's like, okay, you're working on this problem. I know it's hard, founder and team. So let's also give you some access to the rest of the people that we know who have solved similar problems, or might be a good mentor to you, or might be another tool that you can use. Oh, you need more money than just our check? Well, we've done business with and partnered with or worked with these other venture capitalists who also put money in it. So maybe we can, I can pass you that contact over there and you can sell that potential venture capitalist, right? Mm-hmm. So you always, no matter where you're putting your money, your time, your effort, you want to try and be of as much value as possible. Thereby, that's the best way for you to get your money back.
I think you just buttoned all that up.
I'm going to say so.
So nicely.
I hope so.
Especially with the reference on the music industry and even the sports industry. Most people who are contributing so much value are not athletes. And, there's a lot of space and there's a lot of opportunity. But just, I feel now we got a lot of work to do. I'm ready to get to work because we just talked about so many things that have to be done and how you bring that value to an organization. I think we work on the sexual side. Like, we build stuff, we make things look good. That always feels good. But I think we're probably not always talking about the unsexy things that we're also really doing. Yeah. Like, I was just boring Malcolm about the spreadsheet that I built for him. And it's like, bro. Like, but everybody's going to look at him for like his end result of product and go like, I want to take pictures. I want to shoot videos. And I want to do all of those things. All of the things that it took to get to that point. You still need to figure out how to run a business, how to calculate things, how to make sure that you can pass along estimates and invoicing and all of that kind of stuff in a way where it makes sense. And that's what I think that so many of like my peers, like we want to talk about the sexier stuff, and that's like vision boards and, whatever for, vision casting for certain things or treatments and creative direction rather than, and that's kind of just for the sake of a sliver of what we do, but rather than the actual training and kind of that banging your head against the wall that you are signing up for too, that you're actually not showing everybody because all everybody ever sees is like the highlight reel. And like, no, I want to talk about more about that. Should you really start a business? Are you really up for that? Do you really understand the type of hole you're about to walk yourself into and then voluntarily climb out, like get yourself out of? Do you understand that? And if not, or if so, do you want to sign up for that? Or can you sign up for that with someone else, like co-foundership, or you need a team, bro. Come into some sort of organization where you are an equity partner or something to that effect, and you get paid, however you get paid, right? Half equity, half, salary or compensation or whatever that looks like. And it's just, those are the questions. I would much rather identify a person like me and go like, yo, how can I work with you? Or go like, here's how I think I can add value to what you're doing. That's how I would do it. I just don't run across enough people, that I can partner with. I definitely sometimes wish more people would approach me or us on, hey, I want to do this for Rare Label. Yeah. Right? Like we talked about like the sales thing, like being able to pitch someone on an idea and show them like, I can increase whatever here because, like Rare Label, like you're a small team right now, but I want to bring this. Like I really wish that more of those conversations were on the line instead of me having to figure out all the time, or not even figure out, but just assess our business and, okay, where do we want to place more contributors? Where do we want to fill some holes and, come up with that on our own and have to prescribe or write the job description for somebody rather than it kind of coming to us.
Right.
Thank you all for watching. If you're interested in scheduling a call with Rashad or I, those links are in the description. So schedule a call is right there. You can also visit our website, check out our capabilities deck. Yep. We got a lot going on, but please don't feel shy to reach out to us. We want to connect with y'all, even if it's just a 20-minute intro conversation. Say hello. That's a mantra of yours. Yep. And we'll be around. So thank you for watching another episode of
Stay Sharp. The setup was ill.